This is the show where two friends from different parts of the world discuss all things, all elite wrestling. And one of them actually knows what they're talking about. We'll let you decide. Welcome to the Beauty and the Beard Pro Wrestling Podcast with your hosts, Woody and Sarah.
Sarah, are you ready to answer some questions?
I am indeedy.
This is our first official standalone Q&A episode. So y'all send him some questions, which we appreciate, some AEW questions, and we are going to answer some of those questions, or attempt to answer some of those questions on this episode. So the plan is to keep this going forward and try to do this on a weekly basis. So please, keep the questions coming each week because we want to have something to answer. We got to have questions if we're going to give answers. So
exactly.
We hope this is going to be fun. I've seen a few of the questions that were sent on Twitter. I remember seeing them when they came through, but I don't remember them now. So as Sarah reads them off, some of these are going to surprise me. So I'll have to. Hopefully, I got some answers, some good answers.
That would be good.
Because if not, you'll just have a whole lot of me going, that's not going to be good.
No.
Nope. So, you ready?
I'm ready. Let's go.
All right.
So, we have our first question from Ted605WCW. Hello.
All right. Hello.
The question is, what do you see AEW doing with Lance Archer? Right now, he seems a bit of a tweener. Will he become full face or full heel?
That's a good question.
Start it off with an easy one.
That's a really good question. I think for the majority of his career, I would think he would be more of a tweener, where he kind of bounces back and forth depending on who he's feuding with and the situation. But I think in the immediate future, he'll be viewed more as a babyface. Just my feeling is that he's going to somehow be paired up with Sting, and I don't think there's a way you can pair him up with Sting and have him be heel. Just ain't gonna happen. So I would anticipate him being a babyface in the near future, but overall, I still think he's always going to be kind of that tweener that can go back and forth pretty easily, kind of like Pac. I think Pac will be in that same vein. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like that for like Lance Archer as well. Like same thing we said with Pac. Like in one promo, he can go from the crowd hating him to the crowd loving him, and I think that's like such a special quality for a wrestler with their kind of characters that you can see both sides. Because let's face it, in real life, not everybody is full on good or full on bad all the time. So
no.
If you want to represent that type of thing, then somebody that's a bit of both it also gives you more ways for them to work as well, because they're not kind of like slotted into like a little pigeonhole, like they can only work with faces because they are a heel. So they can be whatever you need them to be, basically, which is useful.
Yeah, a lot more of a flexible roster when you have that.
Yes,
exactly. And you're right, because in reality, there's not many clear babyface heel situations in life, other than this podcast. Because it's obvious if you listen to this podcast that I am the babyface and Sarah is the heel. So, all right, next question.
Make your own judgments, people. Don't be dictated to.
Make the right choice.
Our next question is from our friend Ben.
Ben!
Well, I want to say our next question, but we know Ben, so there's probably about 5.
Hashtag 2 question Ben.
Yeah.
3 question
Ben.
Ben. 4 question.
First questions. Well, I'm going to read his questions because it's just going to be easier. So he says, Mark Henry said that there is no immediate plans to wrestle, but that he did have plenty left in the tank. Do you see him lacing up boots in AEW? If so, who are your potential feuds or dream matches?
Ooh, that is really, really good. Let's say if I can only pick 2 matches for him, 2 matches for him to have in AEW, I would want it to be with 2 big guys. Kind of a passing the torch kind of thing, where not where he annihilates them. Maybe he wins a match initially with them, but then they come back and get the final win over him in the feud. But the two people I have in mind are Powerhouse Hobbs and Wardlow. I would love to see Mark Henry used as a way to get them over as monsters. So one of those two guys or both. But if I'm picking between, it's gonna be those two. They're both young. They're both big guys that you would compare to Mark Henry, not as far as just size. They're just powerhouse guys, literally powerhouse, because Hobbs has that in his name.
Yeah.
So that'd be the two I'd like to see.
See, when you said Powerhouse Hobbs, I was like, yes, exactly. And then you went Wardlow, and my brain went Brian Cage.
Cage would be great too.
So you could just have the three of them against Mark Henry.
At the same time?
At the same time, and just see who comes out on top.
Okay.
Throw Paul White in there as well and see what happens.
There we go. You could literally, it's a good point, because you could literally use Paul White in the same way. You could use to get over one of your big guys. So I can see that.
Sounds good.
Good point.
The second question Ben has is, are you liking the increased blood flow in AEW recently? It seems somewhat controversial.
I like it. It like, I know we've gotten as wrestling fans have gotten used to I put in quotation marks, the PG era of things.
Yeah.
To where didn't see blood at all. If so, it was very rare, or probably by accident. With this though, I think it doesn't. I like it. I really enjoy it. I think you can overdo it sometimes. You can overdo it with certain people sometimes, where it seems like certain people start bleeding every time they're in a match. I'm not going to call it any names, but I think. I think the way they're using it smart though, especially if it's in cage matches or matches that go to the outside, to where foreign objects are being used and all that. It makes sense for somebody to get busted open, because I don't know how many times I've watched a match where somebody gets hit with a steel chair in the face and nothing happens. But man, in reality, somebody's bleeding by now. So I'm okay with it. I give it 2 thumbs up. I'm good.
Yeah. You see, I love it.
Yeah, that is no surprise at all.
Yeah, you see, the thing for me is like, it makes sense. It's, for me, I don't see it happening as often as what people think it is. Like, it probably has increased recently, and I think the reason for that is crowds have come back. So you want to see that, like, crowd reaction and that type of stuff. I think that's why it may have increased slightly now. But if you think for last year, it didn't really happen, apart from, like, Britt Baker actually had a nose broken, blood, obviously, that type of thing. But also, like, it's blood. Like, we have blood in our bodies. It's going to happen.
That's true. Last time I checked.
Yeah, last time we checked, that happened. And I think I think we've been so conditioned to not seeing it that it's shocking that we do see it. But also, like, for when they do use it, like you said, for when, like, if there's like foreign objects involved, or they're out on the side of the ring and stuff like that. But also for putting, like, killer moves over. Like, if you want to show somebody's got, like, a hard hitting punch like Anthony Ogogo, if you punch somebody in the face and then they bleed, it's going to make it look legit anyway. So it makes sense. And again, like, sometimes you just get possibly a bit like, it can be overused to a certain extent. But one thing AEW has that I don't think many other promotions do, like probably New Japan probably does, but it kind of caters for everybody. There's everything for somebody. It's not just kind of like one thing for everybody. There is literally, if you don't like tag matching, there's other types of wrestling involved. Do you know what I mean? If you don't like big guys, there's other things. Like, it's so varied.
There's a variety.
Yep. That I don't think you can like say there's too much of one thing, because in each show you get something of everything. You get a nice pick and mix. So I like it.
And I get the argument from one side, because I'm pretty sure the other side of the argument is, well, it becomes less special if you see it as often as you do. It's my opinion. It doesn't become less special for me. It's the moment when things happen that make it special, and not just seeing the blood. I think with some people it may hit them that way, where they become desensitized to seeing the blood. So when it is a special moment, so what? They're just bleeding. They bleed all the time.
Yeah.
But me personally, I'm cool with it. I like it. But I do see that argument.
Yeah, I agree with it. Like, it's normally the story surrounding it that gives you the pop for it. And also somebody having a slight cut on their forehead with a little bit of blood compared to somebody gushing is something completely different.
Good point. Exactly.
So if someone gets a slight cut on their head, I don't say they're using blood too much. I'm saying they've got a cut on their head. If someone like, like John Moxley or something is like stinging their eyes with blood, then that's blood. But then that's part of the story.
Yeah. Yeah, a cut eye is one thing. Christopher Daniels bloody getting BTE triggered by the Young Bucks is another thing. It's that's a whole different type of bleeding than just a busted nose. So that's a good point. Okay.
Final question from Ben.
All right.
He would like to know, will crazy bets over pay-per-view matches become a thing now?
No, they're over. Done. I won this one, and we're stopping right here, baby.
He's
done.
Scared, is what he's saying. He's scared.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm scared. Absolutely. I will admit it. I am afraid, and it's over with. No. I think so. I think, honestly, I mean, if it's up to me, I'm not sure if you want to lose another one or not, but I'm cool with coming up with something. Well, it may not be every pay-per-view. It may be every pay-per-view.
I'm going to say it's probably not going to be every pay-per-view. It's probably going to be something where we're opposite sides of something.
Yeah, and I agree. It's got to make sense. I don't want it just to be, hey, we're going to figure out something.
People.
No. But something that makes sense. Yeah,
exactly. Like, especially like the Moxley, Eddie Kingston, Young Bucks thing. That made a perfect sense for us to do it, because we're literally like was on either side.
Yeah.
But if it's just going to be, we both like the same guy, but they're against somebody, we're not going to then go, right, I'll split it, because it won't make any sense.
Yeah. When it happens, we'll know. It'll make sense. And one of us will throw the gauntlet.
When we know.
And one of us will throw that gauntlet out, and the other one will have to accept it. So we'll see how
that's the
goes.
way it works. Tough love on this podcast.
It's a good question. Yes, very tough love. As we can see, keep an eye on that profile. It's going to get tougher.
So mean. Right. So we've got another question from John Anderson.
All right.
The question is, he thinks AEW needs to have 3 more belts: women's TNT title, women's tag title, and trios title. Apparently, the trios title is supposed to be happening later this year.
That's what we
the women's division has shown massive improvement, but I think adding 2 belts would give people more of a reason to be on TV. What do we think?
Definitely the trios title.
Yeah,
no doubt in my mind. That makes 100% sense. The women's, we've talked about that a little bit. I don't know if I'd want to right away. If we did it, I would wait until Rampage gets going for a while. And maybe introduce a tournament or something there. I know you've made the point with the tag titles for women that we don't have many women's tag teams.
Yeah, exactly.
I think if we could get those established, if we could get women's tag teams established, I would be more for that than a women's TNT title, just because it gets more women involved. But the way things stand now, if you're going to introduce one or the other, I would go with a women's TNT top belt. Yeah. Just because, like you said, we don't have tag teams established yet. Not many of them, anyways. You need more than just a couple. Yeah. Those are just my thoughts. How about you?
I agree. I think trios title 100%, because if we don't get that, I might actually cry. I don't see any need to rush a load of women's titles in just yet. They are literally just starting with Britt Baker now, kind of refreshing it all with her having the women's title. So that division really needs to be built up before you throw another belt into the mix. I'm thinking probably later next year for another women's belt if they even go there, because otherwise you're throwing kind of more prizes into something that they haven't really got established yet. There's not any clear definitions in the women's division yet. Alliances are only really just being formed. There's no cohesive storylines in it either. So I think to rush that in would just cause so much confusion with, because we don't know, what all these women are going to be like, in a year's time. We don't know what the division is going to be like. Hopefully it's going to be 10 times better. But trios 100%, women's, I'd say go for the women's tag belt once this tag team's developed. I don't want to say go for a TNT belt, because it just then seems like the women's title and the TNT title would roughly be the same thing, if you know what I mean. Because at the moment there's not enough women to go for both belts.
It's a the roster, I think, is deeper than we realize now. Is it deep like
it's just the not on TV. That's not the problem.
You like you said, you need to get those storylines and establish those characters a little better. So by this time next year, or by the end, not this time, probably by the end of next year, we may have a better lay of the land where we can see. Now, what I wouldn't mind to do is, we had the women's tag team tournament where they got the gold medals. But then again, gold medals, trophies, it doesn't mean as much as belts that you defend. But if they want to pull off another one of those tag team tournaments and see how it looks, see how it feels, and see what the teams look like, that would be another good test. Kind of test the waters and see how the tag teams look and how people receive it. That might be a good test later in the year, or maybe early next year, to kind of test the waters.
And to be honest with you, we have discussed the belt situation on a previous podcast. That was, if you want to go check it out, it's called The Future is Bright, The Future is AEW. It is on, basically should be everywhere where you get your podcast from, where you get this from. So we have talked about the belt situation before, but not as in depth as the women's as what we've probably just done. So it gets you out.
Worth a listen.
Yeah. So now we have 2 questions that are roughly the same, but I think we can word them differently so we can get different answers. Okay. So we have a question from somebody called Renegade Ryan. And their question is, who from the recent WWE releases do you see going to AEW? And then the question that we had from somebody else, from Derek Showtime Jr., was who's next and from which promotion will show up in AEW next? So we could say, who would we like to come from WWE into AEW? And then for the other side of the question, who would we like to come in as a surprise at a pay-per-view from a different promotion? So, which one would you like to answer this?
2 good questions. I'll start with the WWE question first. From the recent like this last group, there's one name in that I want in AEW, and his name now is Tommy End.
Yes.
Formerly known as Aleister Black.
100%
Absolutely.
Agree.
No doubt.
Yes.
Yep. Now, there are others on that list that I would not mind seeing in AEW.
No.
There's some on the list that I wouldn't want to see in AEW. That's just my preference. Just my preference. But Tommy End, though, he definitely, I think, given the freedoms that we've seen people are given in AEW to create their own characters, I think he would, no doubt.
His creative flow would be crazy.
And he would endear himself to the fans more than he already has. I think he has a fan base already, but I think he'll win so many more people over. I think he could be an absolute stud in 100%. AEW. Hands down.
100%.
Do you want to answer that one first, and then we'll go to the other?
I want Tommy End as well, if I'm 100% honest. I've already seen people, creating images of him sat next to Darby Allin in the ring. He's already tweeted something like, somebody said something about Mox, and he went, "Oh yeah, regarding Moxley, and I was like, oh, what's he gonna do? So yeah, Tommy End. If we're gonna go for, if I want to pick somebody else, Ruby Riott.
Yeah, she would be a nice good choice.
Fit into the women's division. Something different for that women's division as well. Yeah.
Yep. Aesthetically, she would stand out, I think.
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
Yep. But she's good in the ring too, so that's awesome.
Yes.
Good choice.
The other part of the question was, who would you like to turn up, probably as a surprise at a pay-per-view from other promotions?
If man, there's several people in New Japan I would love to come, but they're bigger names. So I guess I'm trying to go like more like realistically, like who I think would like show up as like a Joker in a Casino Battle Royale or something like that. I'll tell you, I would love to see Chris Bay from Impact Wrestling. If nobody's ever had a chance to watch him, go watch him in Impact. Or, look him up on YouTube. He's really, really good. He would be somebody I think would be absolutely fun to watch. I'm not sure. I think maybe seeing if somebody does another TNT title open challenge, kind of like Cody did. I'd love to see him come in and challenge. I think that would. I think that would be fun. I mean, he is super.
Miro. Jeez.
Oh, I know it. Oh man, yeah. I want to see that now. So yeah, I'd love to see Chris Bay in an AEW ring at some point. And I think it's realistic. I think we could see that.
Honestly. Yeah.
Okay. How about you?
You probably know my answer.
Let me think. Do I?
Probably.
I don't know. Let me see. When you say it, I'll probably go, oh yeah, well, I didn't think of that. But who is it?
Sami Callihan.
Oh yes, Sami Callihan. Yes. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
another Impact guy.
Yeah. Just the carnage. Just the carnage that would follow.
Do we want to see him versus Moxley? Would that be cool?
Do you know what I would love? Moxley, Kingston, Sami Callihan team up for trios. Against the Bucks and Kenny Omega. Give me that now.
Take my money.
Yes, please. That would be a bet.
That means, yeah, that could be a bet.
There you go, Ben. That would be a bet. Make that happen, somebody.
All that would mean is that would be in control of your profile again for another week.
Not necessarily.
Sucks for you. Okay. Yeah, I like that choice. Good choice.
Yeah, I like it too. Right. So next question is from Safe Moon Sorcerer Supreme. Hello. Their question is Jungle Boy that good compared to Sammy or MJF, or is he just very popular like Darby and Orange Cassidy?
I'll tell you, I think like I'm comparing in ring and promo wise, I think Jungle Boy is kind of an in between there. I think Jungle Boy's better in the ring than MJF is, but obviously not on the level anywhere close to promo skills as MJF. I mean, Jungle Boy just doesn't talk enough. We never know. He may get there. I just don't think that's there. But I think Sammy Guevara is better than Jungle Boy in the ring. I think when it comes to in-ring performance, I would say Sammy's got the edge there. But I think in a year's time, I think we may be seeing talking differently about Jungle Boy as far as questioning whether he's as good as some of these people, because I think he's going to be. I think I honestly think he is world title material in the future for AEW. I think the more he gets a chance to cut promos, which they're more going to be babyface promos in the near future anyways, I think he's going to get even better. I don't think he's ever going to necessarily be a fiery promo type guy. Who knows though? He may be. At some point he may burn it down with a fiery promo that just lights everybody up, But
probably if like there's some like emotional reason for him to as well. Yeah,
but I don't. Am I saying that he's the best wrestler character in the company right now? Obviously no, but I do think I think you could put him in several conversations with people like Sammy Guevara and MJF for different reasons, though. For different reasons, because they all have their different skill set. But I think he's close, if not right there.
Yeah, I think Sammy Guevara is like an all-rounder. That's like one thing you can 100% say. Like his promo stuff's really good. Like you can feel it from his heart. His in-ring work is ridiculous. Then obviously like MJF is, I would say, more of a promo guy and definitely a good wrestler, but probably more on like the heel tactic side of wrestling. And you just want to hate him. So that's, what he's there for. Jungle Boy is good in the ring, but like you said, I think he's definitely got. I only think that we're only going to see more and more of him. I don't think this is his peak yet. I think there is so much more promo work and in work for Jungle Boy to come out. Talking about Darby Allin is one of them where if you get it, you get it. If you don't, you don't. And I love what he does. I love his promo style, like the videos and stuff. I think they're just so like not simple, but they're like, it's not in depth as in, fancy promo and stuff. It's just very it's like straight to the point. Like, if he says something, then you're gonna see him say it in a way that somebody else wouldn't. Like you wouldn't expect Sammy Guevara to do a promo like Darby Allin and vice versa.
No, it's very different.
And like his in-work stuff is like crazy. Like I will always be amazed how he doesn't break his neck or like every bone in his body every time he goes into wrestle. Yeah. My only worry for him is obviously it might shorten his career, but that's what he wants to do. That's what he wants to do. But I think with all of them, like they all have their strengths and they all have bits that they're going to work on. But out of all of them, Sammy Guevara is the all-rounder from every single person in that list for me.
Yeah. But I get it putting, you put, I think in the question, put Orange Cassidy and Darby in a different category as the popular ones. And I get that in the sense that when you think of Darby and Orange Cassidy, you don't think of mat wrestling
no,
like you do with, say, MJF or with Sammy or with with Jungle Boy, because they're more hold lock type guys. When you think of Darby and you think of Cassidy, you think of high spots and all that. But if you really watch some Darby matches and some Orange Cassidy, when Orange Cassidy really gets going, they're really good. They're really. I'm not saying you're selling them short with the question at all, or that anybody is necessarily. But really, when you really start, really look at their matches when they get going, I think they're much better than a lot of people give them credit for. Yep.
Yeah.
Cool.
Okay. Final question, I think. From Maria Johnson.
Hey, Maria.
Her question is sort of an answer to somebody else's. So Marshall of the Thornton replied to us saying, is Christian Cage building up to become an AEW champion, or is he eventually going to join Taz's stable? And Maria Johnson replied, if Christian Cage joins Taz's stable, will they keep Brian Cage? Because then we'll have a Cage.
Yeah, true. You can't have two cages in the same stable.
No.
You can't also.
You could.
They just couldn't stay on the page with a cage in the cage. Yeah, everybody would be in a rage.
Yeah.
No, I do not think Christian Cage is going to join Team Taz. I don't think that's going to happen. I think that was kind of a tease just to get him in a feud with Team Taz.
Yeah.
Is Christian AEW World Title material? I would say yes. I think he would be in the conversation for at least a World Title program with somebody. Do I necessarily think he's going to win the title? I would say no. If I had to answer yes or no. Would I like to see him in a program with somebody? Yes. I think a World Title feud with somebody for him would be fun. But I don't think he's going to win the world title. As far as if Christian Cage did join Team Taz, yes, you can't have two cages. So Brian Cage would be gone at that point. But I don't think that's going to happen. So I don't think it'll be an issue because I don't think Christian Cage is going to be in Team Taz.
No.
What do you think?
I don't. No, I don't either. I think, yeah, I think that was just kind of like you said, kind of building a little feud between
Mm-hmm.
them just to like bring Christian Cage in, because obviously he turned up and nothing was really happening for a little bit.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that, I mean, does Taz really want anybody else in that stable? He's having bad enough time keeping people in it. Like Ricky's ready for packing his bag and leaving. Yeah. So I don't see it happening. If it does, it may be when Ricky leaves, but then what do we like have 2 cages? I don't know. But I don't see him joining it. But we all have been proved wrong in the past, so never say never.
Cool. Good questions, though.
Yes, thank you very much. And that is the end of our first ever official Q&A episode.
It is. Yeah. Thank y'all so much for the questions. Those were fun. I'm looking forward to next week's Q&A because, again, I always love these. You never know what questions we're going to get. And you never know what answers we're going to get. Nope, not until we answer them. That's why we do the show, because if you knew the answers when you asked the questions, you wouldn't ask the questions in the first place, would you? That would be silly. All right. So make sure you follow us or subscribe wherever you listen to the podcast at. We're available on Spotify, iTunes, and a bunch of other podcast platforms. So, yeah, make sure you follow us and subscribe wherever you listen. Follow the channel on Twitter at BeautyXTheBeard. You can follow me on Twitter at LetTheBeardPlay, and you can follow Sarah on Twitter at Strange_Pixie.
Yeah.
Yep. All right. So thank y'all again for listening, and we will see you on the next one.
Bye.